The first time that I played a game made by Remedy, it was when I was 16 years old. Me and my brother, my little brother, who was 11 at the time, we rented the game and we played through, I think it was maybe 2 evenings, and we loved the game. It was the first time that I realized that a game could be more than just a stage in which you play through different elements, like you have to jump through, or you have to dodge, or you have to shoot. It was a game that has not only a story with an interesting plot, charismatic characters, but it was a game you could get invested in because it was emotional, was intense, and it wasn't just a mystery story with a noir element, a very heavy noir hard-boiled tone to it, which I loved, but it has all across the whole game a mix of medium that I loved. I am a big lover of comic books. I love pulp literature, mystery, murder stories. I love action games. This game, it was the first time that I saw a comic book being used in a video game to tell a story alongside what was basically a game, with this doll moving across the stage and shooting stuff and dodging stuff, etc. We loved the game. We both, me and my little brother. And in the following years, we followed the different games that you guys released. We played Alan Wake, which we again loved it instantly because it was basically a TV show in the format of a very fun at times. Well, it was fun anyways. It was a TV show in the format of a video game, which was something that we didn't expect at the time. And it also used different tricks to help us, like the lighting. It required certain strategy to play the game, because you couldn't just shoot everything. It was a game with also some amazing music, and for a music lover like myself, that was also a selling point. So when we finished the game, we were hoping that the game was going to have a sequel because, well, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. So, no es un lago, es un océano, because obviously we both played the game in Spanish. Then you guys released 2 games for Xbox One, which we didn't own, so we couldn't play them at the time. Then you guys released Control. I loved it. I felt that it was the first time that, again, it gave me something other games didn't give me. An amazing scenery with a weird feeling that I loved. I love mystery, I love fantasy, I love those elements all together in a game, which was the case with Control. And then you guys announced Alan Wake 2. And, well, I could say in a few words that you guys gave me some of the most interesting, fun, amazing hours of entertainment in my whole life. So thank you very much. I love your work, guys. Keep on it. Keep making great games.